After good morning noon, everybody. How are we feeling? I am feeling radical and ready to talk about what I listened to in this last month of February. As with last time, I will be ranking these from my leastest favorites to my mostest favorites and discussing them in that order. Lots of really good releases this month. Nothing I listened to that I really hated. I actually really enjoyed most everything that I listened to. Yeah, it's been a fruitful last 28 days. So, starting off this list, we have... I didn't want to put this list at the bottom because it's not that bad, but it's also not that good either. Sam Smith is back with a series of pop, pseudo R&B bops discussing the difficulty of self-love, as well as confronting oppressive forces while in the eye of the public, all while happily celebrating their queerness and their identity. There are some jams. Lose You has a fun hook with ideal roller skating rink production style. I'm Not Here to Make Friends is a nice disco bop. Unholy, however, kind of hits you in the face like a fucking frying pan with just how much grittier the attitude and the narrative and the vibe are. And surprisingly, it's still one of my favorite songs off of the album because at the very least, it's attention grabbing and it's memorable, which I just don't find much of this album to be. A lot of pop cuts that are lyrically and vocally nice. Sam Smith, as we know, has really beautiful skill in that arena, but I find the aesthetic to be a little bit tired and the songs are a bit scattered, like we're treated to some disco and some dance pop, but also R&B and an acoustic ballad and a choral piece and an Ed Sheeran feature. They all feel so unmarried from each other that I struggle to find a clear and creative through line on the project. Also, Gimme has one of the worst hooks that I have ever heard. Gimme, 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 gimme what I want. Jesse Reyes, what the fuck are you doing? Are you trying to piss me off? Yeah, this one's like super duper meh, which is kind of lame, but also I've never necessarily been a Sam Smith fan, so like, I mean, I don't know, check it out if you want to, I guess. I'm a bit underwhelmed by this album, which is a shame because it's packed with a lot of rich and occasionally very gut-wrenching lyrics. Samia dives into the complexity of friendship, exploring the pure, unrelenting joys of being young and free, as well as having friends that you are on very uneven ground with. Not knowing whether or not to trust someone despite how close you already are, the track Breathing Song taking a particularly dark and poignant turn in that direction. There are some really raw lines like the opener's chorus of I hope you marry the girl from your hometown and I'll fucking kill her and I'll fucking freak out. It's like Kill Bill by SZA but with absolutely no chill. Or that really funny fake out line in To Me It Was. So you were bullied in high school and you're looking for payback like finding a needle in a stack of needles. Sadly though, the production end of things makes me lose interest. She plays with a lot of stripped back, mellow indie rock instrumentals, some light summery dance pop on songs like Mad at Me and Amelia, and then a smattering of vocally led pieces as well. Together, I don't really see the vision. It feels sonically scattered and reminiscent of more consistent projects within the same genre, and her vocals for me are not as honed in or honestly all that well mixed into the production for them to stand on their own. And while I like her lyrics a lot, the sound of it just isn't all that appealing or really making me hungry for a re-listen anytime soon. I'm kind of mixed on this one because ultimately it sounds like if Kelela wrote a dance album set in Jolly Roger Bay from Mario 64. It's a bit washed out, a little tedious in places, but overall, I like the vibe of this record. The album cover really emulates the sensation of this piece with a consistently watery atmosphere across the runtime, which while that unfortunately diminishes any effort to create a grander scope and scale on the production end of things, I do like a lot of the tracks on here, if not most of them. The song Happy Ending, I said it before, very dire docks. The melody and the chilled out dance beat really pull me into a trance listening to this. On the Run done has a clean bounce and groove. It kind of feels like an understated cut from Renaissance. Contact and Bruises both keep up that energy with equally subtle but overall punchy beats. And Kelela's singing, while it's not crazy, layers on top of everything really elegantly. The more expansive, dreamy moments on this album, like Foolie and Divorce, I find quite mystifying. They remind me of some ethereal crossover between Sade and Chromatics. It's like a modern musical equivalent of sirens pulling me into waves of beautiful sound. Still, as entrancing as I find it, it may be a little bit long-winded. I'm not sure she needed a full hour of material to get the essence across, but I guess I can't really complain. It's a very pretty experience that I will likely revisit again, and I'll probably favor more over time. From Dan Auerbach, one of the 2 Black Keys, comes this new Arcs record. And it's a freaking blast! I'm not super aware of the current alt-rock music scene, but this touched on a lot of things that I already loved about the genre. The seamless blend of psych rock and synth and dream pop and funk and classic rock, and just the overall explosive yet very clean production is very enticing. There's a lot of variety on this project, and you can tell how much fun the band is really having putting this together. This album is a tribute to their bandmate Richard Swift, who sadly passed away in 2018, and with that in mind, you can see the amount of heart that they poured into this. They're using old recordings of theirs, fleshing them out for a fuller, more developed album, and it all comes together better than you might actually assume. Each song builds to a really unique, characterized climax that keeps the experience exciting, with an array of swirling electric guitar, shining group vocals, classy keyboards, Beatle-esque horn sections, charming lyrics. It's kind of hard to dislike this project, or at least not have some unabashed fun with it. I may not be as partial to this genre of music, but this album is due for many re-listens, and probably an even higher rating at some point. What a sweet, somber, serene little album this is. A lot of people, including fans of Phoebe Bridgers, regard this as not as good as her debut, and yes, it doesn't have as many breathtaking standalone moments, but I am kind of in love with the painfully hollow energy of this project. Themes of returning home, reflecting on the past, and re-examining one's darkest memories all comes across very elegantly. Emotionally charged tracks like Punisher and Moon Song and Chinese Satellite are impossible not to cry to. Not to mention, the final track on this is one of the greatest final tracks on an album that I've ever heard. Like, that song alone makes this entire album worth a listen. There's definitely a lull near the second half of this album that kind of keeps it from becoming of the highest caliber, but that doesn't diminish from how truly gorgeous the high points on this are. Phoebe is the queen of the sad indie girl rock style, and I, as well as everybody else, cannot wait to see what comes next. I'm not normally privy to the post-pop punk metal scene, and for this being my first Pierce the Veil experience, I was very pleasantly surprised. There's a melodrama about this album that really hit the sweet spot for me, because not only are the lyrics drama, not only are the vocals exactly what that one dude on TikTok makes fun of.
Can you talk to the ops next for me? 21. Do your thing, 21. Yeah.
But the combo of those with kick-ass instrumentals, full body, rich guitar passages, and very crisp yet rageful drum work, this album kind of does it for me. What I wouldn't give to go to a Pierce the Veil concert and scream the chorus of the title track or Damn the Man, Save the Empire, because much like a Hellraiser character, these hooks just kind of get under your skin, you know what I'm saying? Flawless Execution has got to be one of the horniest songs that I have heard this year so far, with lyrics like, I can be your freak, I'll scar you with my flawless execution every time. Honestly, the sultry energy of this track, I'm fucking sweating, bro. The song Shared Trauma is a bit corny. It's lyrically and instrumentally pretty bland compared to the rest of the album. But all in all, I had a lot of fun with this. There's an energetic rage to it that I find really attractive, and it's got me excited to dive more into the Pierce the Veil catalog. I will post my thoughts soon. I have several friends who apparently are really big fans of them. And how the fuck is it taking me this long to discover them? I really like this album. Wondering when you would arrive. This album is so pretty and so creepy. It's easy to hear this through the first time and really enjoy the peacefulness of the production, the serenity of the acoustic guitar and piano, Andy's soft and sweet vocals, some very playful synth work. But once you actually start paying attention to the lyrics, you quickly realize that we've got an unreliable narrator on our hands. From the perspective of Norm, a very desperate and tragic romantic, we follow his obsession with what seems to be a stranger as he makes his way closer and closer to her, stalking her at the grocery store, watching her from the bushes outside her house, offering to give her a ride, and then ultimately, fumbling the bag, I guess. The title track offers a third perspective, kind of pleading with Norm to pull himself back and find a healthier path in life. Beyond that, though, we're in the lonely and distressed mind of Norm, but with the most charming production style. It pulls you into his mind frame by playing off these really creepy incidents as moments of purity and romance, like he's trying to convince you of this boy meets girl narrative that he's fabricated in his mind. It's quite brilliant the more I look at it, and while it isn't blowing the lid off of soft indie rock, it does have a very effective story to tell, and I really enjoyed it, as you might be able to notice. As I think about it, this song is basically Joe from You. Like, if Joe from You wrote an album, I guess he doesn't kill anybody in this album. Spoiler alert, he doesn't kill anybody in this album, but it kind of it's like of the same, it's the same, who fucking cares? Next album. Nearly a decade after she was tossed into the lion's den that was the comment section of an early 2000s viral YouTube video, Rebecca Black is here with her debut album, planting her flag as a pop music baddie, and one not to be fucked with at that. I was honestly kind of stunned at the amount of ground that she covered, spanning hyperpop, dance pop, dream pop, synth pop, and while each style isn't performed perfectly, the overall product is quite the joy to listen to. The opening track, Erase Me, introduces the depths of the bellowing production with a strong Charlie XCX vibes, but more of a tighter focus on Rebecca's vocals, which I think really suit the genre superbly. Destroy Me is a hard-hitting, badass electro-pop punk track, like a Pink Pantheress 100 gecs crossover, but more importantly, the most Powerpuff Girls pop song I have ever heard. If there's one thing Rebecca has proven on this, is that she knows her way around a hook. Misery Loves Company and Look at You might not be changing the game of dance pop, but the build of her hooks and her simple yet sticky lyricism really make them stand out. Sick to My Stomach was just stuck in my head from the moment I heard it. The slowed down pre-chorus and the head-bopping momentum of the melody, it feels like a glossy Carly Rae Jepsen track from the 2010s. It's musical magic. There's a defiance and a power on here that kind of reminds me of King Princess, particularly in the closing track Performer, which, while it's very simple in its structure, it's quite moving in emotional prowess. The weakest spot on here I think would have to be Doe-Eyed, which feels like a half-baked bubblegum trap song that Doja Cat might rap over. This album's a tight 30 minutes, and while she's not breaking boundaries, she's demonstrating a very confident understanding of modern pop and where she fits into that, and I'm really excited to hear more from her. Absolutely, definitely, very excited. Of the albums I listened to this month, I didn't actually listen to this one a whole lot, partly because I heard it twice and was like, yeah, this is fucking awesome, and then just moved on. But damn, this album is fueled with so much fun and heart. It's an alt-pop rock album for the ages, with choruses stickier than fucking caramel Velcro. Truly, the hooks are so sonically pleasing, you can really feel the cohesion of the band, their refrains, their transitions, their hooks are so crisp and so clean, yet still retain enough noise and character to stay loose and moving. The louder, more electric and aggressive moments on here, such as You First and The News, make for the most exciting alt-rock I have heard so far this year. Yet their ability to slow down their music and create moments of breath within the most riveting songs here make this album a real musical treat to listen to. Not only do the dreamy pre-choruses on songs like The News and Running Out of Time help to create a lot of space, but they remind me a lot of Garbage in their dissonance, and that's always a good thing in my book, at least. Vocally, Hayley Williams dominates and shines through stunningly. Her voice is so passionate, yet she is having so much fun with her enunciation and her presentation. It's an endearing performance that really gives this album its soul. I love this thing, and I feel like I have just skimmed the surface of what there is to love about it, and you should listen to it, is what I'm saying. This album switches from soft, sweet indie rock to suddenly the greatest anime intro ever recorded. From the opening minutes, you're greeted with a warm guitar melody, these delicate vocals, a skipping lo-fi beat, a lovely string section, when suddenly, right as the chorus cuts itself off, there's a burst. A thunderous, spacey, and aggressive wave of sound just hits you. Full force. And the song, nay the album, becomes something entirely greater than itself. And this energy is consistent on each track. Each song beautifully rides the edge between indie grunge and dreamy glitch rock. And I gotta be honest, it really makes you feel like the protagonist of the universe. Like, just listen to this beauty. It's truly so stunning, and it never lets itself up. Lyrically, it's all about transformation, living and dying, the sun and the moon, becoming one with another soul, or finding connection with someone across the galaxy through space and time. I don't know why this album is titled after the magic, because this is the magic. Incredible. Amazing. I feel like I need to listen to it 50 more times to fully grasp it. It's amazing, it's wondrous, it's beautiful. Hey, I'm filming this part at a later time because I have a life. This is a weird little project, far more surreal to me than either Atrocity Exhibition or XXX, and yet it's more restrained. The beats on here are off kilter, but they still retain a hip-hop classiness that keeps them pretty groovy. Danny Brown's flow and vocal ability just melds with each weird track like butter on hot bread. It's kind of hard to explain this album, but I'm fascinated by it because even moments like JPEG Mafia's very strained and very out-of-breath feature, which I don't know if I entirely love, it still feels so purposeful and strange that I can't help but respect it. Dirty Laundry has one of the fucking coolest cockeyed beats that I've ever heard. The really kicking bass and distorted samples mixed with Danny's just impeccable flow. It's bouncy yet grimy as fuck. Belly of the Beast is equally creepy yet serene. The Orbong JR feature is haunting. It feels like a ghost giving me a wet willy. Like, what the fuck am I listening to?
This can't be real, I'm in a dream. I don't have skin, I just shine.
The beat on Three Tears feels like it's simultaneously rushing and dragging, and both Danny and Run the Jewels manage to stay on top of it perfectly. The bars are just as absurd and clever and funny as on his earlier projects, and he continues to demonstrate just a further mastery of his craft, making for one of the quirkiest yet very classy experimental albums that I've ever heard. Scaring the Hoes Part 1 is gonna be so fucking good, dude. I cannot overstate how excited I am for that goddamn album. I'm gonna be so annoying when it comes out, I swear to God. like many others, I did not see this album coming. But oh my god, Lil Yachty made a psych rock album, which is already cool, but the fact that it's actually good just makes it really cool. Out the gate, we are treated to a marvelous blend of rock, funk, synth, very serene yet explosive production, and an overall gentle vocal charm that just graces the rest of the album. Yes, of course, there's a very dark side of the moon vibe to this track. I don't even need to say it, but his delicate delivery on the front half calls to mind a SoundCloud era Bootsy Collins. In fact, I think his loose flow and laid back vocalizations across the record really sell me on the character of this piece. Because while I'm not super familiar with his discography, what I've appreciated about Lil Yachty on singles and features, and what I love about this album, is just his easygoing attitude towards creating music. Yes, you can say this album is derivative, it's borrowed, it's lean Impala, but for something that's so derivative, there are quite the handful of musical achievements that he accomplishes in an hour. Maybe it's his seamless transitioning, or his willingness to indulge in slick, trippy passages of expansive noise, most notably on We Saw the Sun. Maybe his playfully groovy melodies on Drive Me Crazy or Running Out of Time, or his amazing features including Diana Gordon's insane, almost Florence Welch-esque vocals, as well as a perfect use of Tizo Touchdown's distinct rock and roller weirdness. I'm calling it right now, Tizo Touchdown is going to do something incredible in music one of these days, and I cannot wait for that day to come. There's also an underlayer of distortion on this album that, while it's slight, it's a very important detail that just further pulls you into the druggy atmosphere, like the immense and loud audio stretching on the intro of I've Officially Lost Vision, the woozy waves of bass on The Ride, or the fucking Bob Ross sample. This album makes me feel like I'm flying next to the sun and my skin is slowly melting away. But like in a nice way. And honestly, what this album succeeds at the most is being an ultimate album for hip-hop stoners who want a nice introduction into 70s era psychedelic rock and funk. And who better to pull that off than Mr. Yachty himself? I don't care, it doesn't matter when I gave up. This is just so much goddamn fun. This one hit me right in the teenage dream girly pop,
oh my god, I'm so crazy,
sweet spot. If you like Remy Wolf or Biba Doobie or even Magdalena Bay, you should check this one out. It's a psychedelic dream pop extravaganza that manages to indulge in its own campiness. From the top, we have one of my favorite intro tracks this year with It's Not Me, It's You, which has one of the most darling and heart-soaring choruses I've heard in a while. It's instantly recognizable and really lovely at that. In fact, a lot of these choruses are really easy to follow, and maybe that's a matter of Mazie not being the most original in this genre. But a catchy chorus is a catchy chorus. I mean, like, what are you gonna do? There's the feel-good group hook on Give Up, the quaint and laid-back hook on All I Ever Wanted Was You, which sounds just like, I want to say maybe a 60s or 70s psych rock song that, as I was writing this script, I couldn't remember the name of it, and it's gonna drive me fucking crazy. Or maybe the loud pop rock melody on the song Girls Just Wanna Have Sex, which, forget what I said about the Pierce the Veil song, because this is the horniest song that I have heard so far this year. This album isn't making genre-shifting waves. Honestly, I think it just kind of resonates with me and where I'm at in life, which, considering Mazie is a queer 23-year-old making psychedelic pop, it makes sense why this speaks to me. It's catchy, it's bubbly, it's bodacious and feel-good, it's quotable, it's fun, it's silly, it's vibrant, it's trippy, fuck. It's sugary, hypersaturated sweetness in an album is what it is. And I love it. I love it. Quick shout out to one of my favorite singles that I heard this month with Hollywood Baby by 100 gecs. 100 gecs does it again, this time in a pop punk direction, which has me even more excited for their next album than I already was. The build feels like the perfect marriage between early Blink-182 and something like their song Stupid Horse. It's pulled off with expertise, and if you've enjoyed anything from 100 gecs before, you're sure to enjoy this. And if you haven't enjoyed anything from 100 gecs before, go f*** yourself. I'm just kidding. Everyone that I know who enjoys 100 gecs starts listening to them ironically. If you don't like them now, you're gonna like them in, like, say, a month or two. Just give it some time, okay? And my favorite thing that I have heard all month in February is... As a child who is obsessed with Imogen Heap's classic 2005 album, Speak for Yourself, this album fills me with a joy that I kind of have a hard time explaining. This album is just beaming with light from top to bottom. Welcome to My Island is a shimmery opener that does a lot to pull you into the blooming and wondrous art pop production. And Carolyn's wailing vocals, they're just a feat to behold. I'm truly in love with them. On Pretty Impossible, we're treated with a chorus that harkens back to the classic song Tom's Diner, with vocal inflections straight out of the Imogen Heap. Did you get it? Did you see what I did there? Fly to You is a crossover that sounds crazy, but actually makes so much sense, and it's mesmerizing. It gives me the same euphoric feeling as sticking your arm outside of a window and doing this. It's breezy, summery pop beauty. Each track almost feels like we're exploring a new corner of Carolyn's expansive island while riding on a magic carpet. Every song just stands on its own really well, but they all fit together like a beautiful puzzle. There are quieter moments on here that maybe don't stand out as much, but they provide softer moments of tranquility amidst the much grander size of the full project. But the final 3 tracks make for a truly epic conclusion to the experience. It's like getting off of the prettiest, coolest, fanciest, prettiest, fantastical Disneyland ride ever. It's really magical and beautiful and moving, and it's one of the best albums to come out this year so far. I'm interested to see where this album stands at the end of the year, but as of now, it's pretty high on my scoreboard as of now. Well, that's it. I'm going to be focusing some time onto a longer project at the moment, but I think I want to start doing some more full album reviews, reactions, that sort of stuff at some point. I'm really enjoying making content on music. I feel like I'm actively paying attention to what I'm listening to more often, and it just feels like really good for the brain, you know? Listening to good music just makes me want to kick my little feet up and freaking blush like a... Man, what the fuck else blushes? That's all for today. Thank you, lovelies. I'll see you next time. Like, share, and subscribe. You know the drill. And, bye!